What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast, and I really hope that this works because this is probably the fourth time I'm doing this. So the technical difficulties just continue. All right, so here we go. Walter Bloomberg, U.S. Senate votes 69 to 30 to pass $1 trillion infrastructure bill. And we see that this infrastructure bill contains a lot of things ranging from, bridges, roads, internet, etc., etc. But the part we want to focus on is the crypto amendment. And we know that we've been seeing the corruption, we've seen everything be exposed, and there's nothing new under the sun. And we see that the lobbying efforts are great in DC, and there's a power struggle that is happening. Regardless of the fact, let's focus on the crypto amendment. And the crypto amendment, basically, from my understanding, is not going to outlaw crypto from the US. Instead, it's going to tax crypto. Not to the extent of the taxation to be determined, but we're seeing a lot of the narrative unfolding here. And we see the language for that has to do with, the proof of work and proof of stake. So it begs to wonder, how is this all going to be clear and regulated? So that's something that we will find out. Here, I want to show you a clip of uh, Julia Chatterley chatting with Christine Romans about that new infrastructure bill and the crypto amendment. Here, let me go ahead
The
and
U.S. Senate
play
to
the
set
part.
on new spending for infrastructure, new investing for infrastructure in America, Julia.
Yeah, and you can blame the Republicans for being unwilling to spend that kind of size money, but there's plenty of moderate Democrats that are going to look at that $3.5 trillion and go, absolutely no way. And that sort of brings me to the next question, which is paying for this, or at least a piece of paying for this, coming on potentially taxing the activities of those involved in cryptocurrencies. There was some suggestion that perhaps that tax would send people fleeing to other shores, specifically miners involved in cryptocurrencies, also innovators in this space. What are we looking towards this honing in and focusing on?
I think the most important part of this is the mere fact that there are senators who actually started talking about tax requirements for cryptocurrency in legislation. Let's be honest. That might be the very starting point here is that you have senators who, what the average age of senators, according to our story, is somewhere in their mid to late 60s. That they are addressing a very new frontier in the currency world and in finance. And that, I think, to me, is the only thing that is certain here. Where it goes from here, I'm not sure, but the fact that you have them at least addressing this issue, that's what I think might be the true headline there.
That's such a great point, actually, Christine.
All right, so there you have it. They're talking about it. And here is one actually, I'll address it in a second after I read this. Perry M. Boring said, "We are witnessing the worst of Washington. Senators arguing over unrelated issues, unwilling to focus on the benefit of America's economic future and global leadership and innovation. The bipartisan amendment put forward by the Senators Toomey, Warner, Portman, Sinema, and Loomis with the backing of Treasury and White House would bring much needed clarity to a provision that has profound implications for the blockchain industry. Instead, the Senate appears poised to approve the base text, which is overly broad and could have unintended consequences. We urge the Senate, while there is still time in the 30-hour window, to come together and adopt the bipartisan negotiated amendment. Failing this, the Digital Chamber and its members will continue to explore any and all opportunities to ensure blockchain innovators have the certainty they need to operate in the U.S. This unfortunate process has also highlighted the lack of understanding policymakers have for the emerging, fast-growing, and crucial blockchain technology ecosystem. We will continue our efforts to engage with all policymakers and their staff to expand understanding of the important role our members play in America's technology and innovation economies." Now, that's a loaded statement, but essentially they want to get the ball rolling. They're tired of playing around, not having any clear regulations for this space. However, I do want to point out this statement here. I don't think that it could be so much that the policymakers don't have an understanding of it, because we see Senator Emmer, he's an older gentleman. Senator Loomis, she's older, okay, but they still have a very good understanding of the space. I think we have to be careful with the narrative of what people are making us want to believe. That's why you gotta be critical in your thinking. Just because they say something doesn't mean that's it. Don't let people do the thinking for you. You do the thinking. And I think that they're putting this narrative that, oh, they're old. We can't have old people in in the senator position making these decisions because they don't understand the technology. I don't. That's a very bogus argument to make that your age determines whether you understand technology or not. I think that it's more of the lobbying efforts and where the money trail is. Who's lobbying for you? Who's paying you to vote a certain way? I think that's what it comes down to. But the fact that we have to come here and think that, oh, it's because they're old, they don't understand it, that is such a bogus. I do not agree with that. And that is my opinion. But everything's being exposed right now. If you follow the money trail, you see where their interests lie, and I think that's what we have to be aware of. Don't just fall for the narrative that they're putting out there. Yeah, just because they're for pro crypto doesn't mean that their narrative is always right. Do the critical thinking for yourself, and you come to your own conclusions. Here we see Jake Sherman, who, again, this is another narrative that you have to think about. And it is, he says, attention crypto world. Senator Shelby just told us he's actually for the amendment he blocked yesterday, but blocked it simply because he didn't want them to get an amendment unless he got his defense amendment. Again, is this a narrative they're pushing for us to believe? Are they doing the thinking for us? Or are we going to critically think and think, this is politics, it's a game. What do they want us to believe? And it's interesting that this senator is about to retire. So all the blame is being put on him, while all these other politicians, wanting to be reelected are escaping from this. So you gotta wonder and you gotta think. Okay, so here I'll say that for the next one. But yeah, we see that this is happening. Okay, you gotta put your thinking caps on, and you gotta critically think about the narratives. I know you guys understand this, and you guys are smart. The people who are subscribed to this channel were smart, and we understand this. Okay, so keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, because we're not going to be fooled by any of this. All right. I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. Comment below. What are your thoughts? As always, I like hearing from you. This is Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.